Where is Yehuda? He had a question that engaged this morning and said, listen, tonight we will talk on this question.
What was the question?
The question, somebody's ringing my phone, the other phone. Let me see if it's not Yehuda. Hold on a second, please. All right. I'm sorry, yeah. The question was, okay, let me first establish our base, and then we'll have the question right there. We are actually 2 lines from the bottom. Line begins with the parentheses of the Hishtalshelus. All right. And we are taking great pains to explain and to help us focus on the principle of what is the kind of creation that occurs when it comes from an etzem versus the creation that comes from a ha-arah. And what we are saying is that the creation that is affected by the etzem itself is equal to the etzem. There's an atzmi also. It's sort of like replication of the etzem, like the son is a replication of the father. This is the father. Whereas in the case of a ha-arah, if the ha-arah it takes the effect, it brings about a his-havus, then it is a completely different kind of his-havus. The his-havus is not the very mahus, the very reality of that which brings it about. And actually, Shlomo Banda asked the question, does the Havus have the oir? Does it have the etzem ha-arah itself? And the truth is that it doesn't. It has only the effect of it. Okay, so this is all words. To trying to focus in and get a handle on these principles. So we use, I didn't, actually this morning I started with Yehuda. We use the various illustrations, misholim, that we have, demonstrating his havus comes from a ha-arah. For example, a car. A car is a ha-arah of the human spirit. Namely, the spirit, as we said, that a human being actually perceives himself as a presence in the entire world. There is not a place in the world that he does not belong there and doesn't belong to him. As we were saying at one time before, several times I mentioned this idea. It's a phenomenal idea that when a human being walks from point A to point B, in contrast to lahavdil, an animal walking from point A to point B. The animal is walking on this straight line that brings it from point A to point B. It is totally unaware that this straight line is part of a huge globe, of a huge reality. He only knows that he can walk on this plank here from point A to point B, on this line. A human being is never isolated on a given line. This line is always a choice line that he chooses. He selects this line from an entire reality. So similarly, when we have a human being creating a car is a presentation of a spirit, a broad spirit, an overall spirit, not just taking him from one point to another, but in general representing the spirit that he encompasses the entire world. And then he creates a car that can move in the entire world and can move in a certain line. When he drives in a certain line, he is not isolated in that line. That line is a choice from amongst an infinite choices. What is mislabesh, so to speak? What is expressed in this car is the mi-ha-arah of that spirit. The car is not that spirit. It's a reflection of that spirit. That's why this is called the mi-ha-arah. Now this mi-ha-arah, as I said, is mislabesh in this car. Do we have, this is the question, when we look at the car, do we immediately see this mi-ha-arah? Or do we rather see some kind of mechanical entity? And that mechanical entity, in its use, can represent this mi-ha-arah, this sense of this spirit. The fact is that this spirit gets lost in a certain sense in this mechanical entity, to the extent, this is the definitive proof, to the extent that one may lose sense of completely of what this entity is about, the spirit behind it, that it can actually be used as a moving vehicle for the purposes of going in circles and seeing which vehicle can go faster. Not going any place altogether. Which means that the mi-ha-arah can get lost in its implication, in its execution, in its actualization. An atzmi, a etzem creation, cannot get lost like this. There it is, the reality itself. I guess we'll just go on.
That was in response to Yehuda's.
That was in response to Yehuda. Shlomo Banda asked the question, but Yehuda was pursuing it afterwards, and I said, look, we have to leave it till tonight. I hope Yehuda will pick it up. And this is what the Rebbe says. I'd like to go back maybe 4 lines from the bottom.
Isn't it like car racing? Isn't like a human like kind of achievement to it's like a whole team of members of the car team. Yeah.
There is absolutely no human quality to it. Zero. It's unconscionable to say that a human being has it in his spirit to go car racing and invent a car and create a car for that purpose.
But does it have any value to race cars?
I don't know if it has. Yes, it has value. It prevents, it keeps people running on cars rather than running over each other. I don't know.
Yes, I mean, I like other sports. Maybe it's like a kind of an outlet.
It's an outlet. Well, whatever it is, I'm not going there. But this is just an illustration to us what happens with the creation of the holiday. The truth is that the car does represent the holiday, this human spirit. The reason there are millions and perhaps billions of cars is because of that spirit. But you don't instantaneously see it. So as I said, I want to actually start 4 lines from the bottom. At the end of that line, he says that mi-ha-arah, that comes from mi-ha-arah levad, so that the mi-ha-arah, that which comes into being, which is created, is not the very mahus, is not the very essence of that which creates it. Ki ha-koyach ha-mi-ha-arah, so at the end of that line, ki ha-koyach ha-mi-ha-arah, the koyach that creates, nase b'bchinas mokor li-his-habus, is only in a state of a mokor, a source for the creation. And therefore, as a result, his habus ein lo yosi ha-mi-ha-arah. That which is created is not the very is not the very mahus, is not the very reality of that which creates it. It affects it, but it's not the very same thing. It's translated into a completely different, on a completely different level, a completely different reality. It has it alludes to it. It has as its source the spirit that creates it, but it's not directly that same spirit. And a human being, for example, a child, you cannot mistake a child at what is a child about? Something else. It's not a human being. It alludes to a human being. It is a human being. A human being in the full sense of the word, with the same quality, 100% the same qualities as the Father. And it's not, so to speak, an afterthought. If you examine him very closely, you see that there is this human spirit in him. He is 100% a human being. Just means his havos from an etzem. Okay. There's much to speak about it, but let's continue on. In parentheses now, the 2 lines from the bottom. ובהשתלשלות in the principle and the process.
Rabbi Paltiel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so before you move on, the etzim from the etzim, nothing is lost in the translation, as it were. Is that true?
That is correct.
There's no sort of, okay, whereas in the ha'arah from a ha'arah, as we descend down that chain, ha'arah, de ha'arah, de ha'arah, there is something lost, right?
Yep.
In each successive generation, there's less of whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Less of that spirit that it is to represent.
Less of what? The spirit that it represents.
Right.
Is to say that it's harder discernible.
At some point, it could be hardly discernible. Like I said, if a car is used to go in circles to race, there is not an iota of the human spirit that originated from which it originated. It only has the movement element.
Right. It's just pointing out that each successive step is level.
It's got to be possible to get further away from the original than that.
That's right.
You're saying that's the lowest point, but it's probably lower than that.
I'm sorry, what? Explain?
If the ha'arah is always, a stepping down,
right.
So probably the cars running around the track is not the lowest possible iteration.
Conceivably. Some people have cars stashed away in their garages.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
once in 10 years, he puts the motor on to make sure that it's still functional.
Right.
And he keeps it spick and span, shining.
Wipes it with a diaper. It's like his baby.
Right.
And really, my brother was bragging to me. He has a BMW.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like I'm driving my BMW. Like, I was like, it's so stupid to think that that's like something I should want. Like I have, like such a, and he's not. Meanwhile, he's not married. He doesn't have any kids. And that's like.
And he's driving a BMW. Okay.
But he has a BMW.
David forces me to tell you something that I thought of telling you another time, which is I get these magazines that are like alumni magazines from my college. And the ad on the back of one of them, which is about not a BMW, but a Maserati. That's a very fancy car. So it says, the slogan, the caption on the ad says, the key to an extraordinary life is literally a key. And then it shows this key for this car. This is an extraordinary life, having this car. So that's a car. You don't have it for a museum and not for a racetrack. You just have it because this shows that you have an extraordinary life. It's your passport to the upper class.
Right. A kid. What's a kid? That's life.
That's an ordinary
extraordinary life.
Extraordinary life is a key to a Maserati.
Brooke Hoffinger said that he saw a commercial which showed a car and it said you could kill for this.
Well, how much he finds this extra. Well, I told you I was in the car. I saw this lady calling her a pack of good dogs and says, "Come on, children, let's go, children."
Well, that's a higher level.
That's a higher level.
they're more intelligent than cars.
All right, 2 lines from the bottom. Will be Hishtalshelus in parentheses. Will be Hishtalshelus. Okay, I think that we will be able to understand this brief insert here. In the process of Hishtalshelus, Hishtalshelus is the pshat, the descent from rung to rung, from level to level, where the higher level inspires the lower level and gives it a presence. Hu inyan, this is the principle of Ila v'Olu. His havus that comes from mi-ha-arah is the principle of Ila v'Olu, of cause and effect. Ha-arah, mi-ha-arah, which means a ha-arah from mi-ha-arah. Just like we say, Hishtalshelus, Ila v'Olu is like Seichel is the cause from midas, and midas is the cause for action. Each one is a further ha-arah. Or be his havus Ayin-Arah, but in the principle of his havus of creation, where the creation is Ayin-Arah, where there's a creation of a complete entity, not just a ha-arah, a developmental process, but something that gets created by the force and the power of the Creator, who in Ayin v'yesh. This is the principle for Ayin v'yesh. Okay, that would actually have to have a bigger discussion. The principle of etzem, like we're saying that the father begets a son. There, even though, as you said over here, is the tipo through which this creation comes about, what's in this tipo? How did the tipo create a son? Because it has the force, the power of the human power in an Ayin state. What does Ayin state mean? Ayin state means that it is there not by virtue of having any kind of a presence, any kind of a keli, but just the absolute reality. Like we said originally, this whole phenomenon of Ayin v'yesh and mahus, real mahus and some atzmi, we always bring back to the principle that this is something which is that exists only due to the fact that the world is a godly creation. And what's godly creation? God is a non-entity in the world. It's Ayin. It's so real that there's no way to define it. Doesn't have a presence in the world. And that is the Creator. This is what creates the Ayin v'yesh. V'zehu, and this is pointing to the principle that we say all the time. Pardon me. Sheb'nivroim, that in the category of nivroim, hare ha-mi-ha-arah v'ha-mi-ha-arah nikroim beire v'nivro. the Mahava, the Creator, that which brings about the presence of the mi-ha-arah, of that which comes in effect, nikroim boire v'nivro. They are actually properly referred to as creator and creation, not not a cause and effect, but a creator. What does creator mean? Shehanivro, where the creation, einay mehus habayit. The creation is not, the mehus habayit is not the very reality of the creator himself. Ubenishomes, and in the level of nishomes, Harehu eisei hamahus mamash. Nishomes, this is the mahus of the boirei, of the actual boirei. Oisei hamahus mamash. Uvmeshikosu be b'yonei hazehar, pashas pinchos al posuk v'akedesh orishim, u'bahagois l'shom. So not now actually, we have three distinct levels of cause and effect, you could say. There is the Ila Ve'olu, that is in the process of ha-arah. Then there is the cause and effect that is actually represented by creation, creator and creation. And then there is the creation in the form of neshamis, which is in a third category. And in simple terms, it's like this. In case of the neshamis, he's saying it's Eisei Hamhus Mamish. Neshamis is like the creation of a son coming from a father, which is an actual replication of the reality of the Creator. Eisei Hamhus Mamish.
Refutation.
Replication.
Replication.
That was which of the three? The third.
That is a creation that comes from the etzem itself.
Okay, so this is the third we're mentioning. This is
That's
the
the
fourth?
third one.
This is the third.
Then there is the creation of Boire and Nivra. This is like in the world. Creation of the world, Boire and Nivra, Yesh and Ayin. And then there is the process of Seder Hishtalshelus, what's called ha-arah mi-ha-arah.
So Yesh Ayin is neither like
Right.
is neither Seder and ha-arah, Seder Shtalshelus, nor is it like
No, it's mahus, it's Eisei HaMahus. It's a creation.
So in this three things, everything in Seder Hishtalshelus is some sort of aura of the original creation Yesh Ayin. Is
Right.
that correct?
In Seder Hishtalshelus,
I thought we said that there's mahus to mahus, and then there's yesh ma'ayin, and then there's cause and effect in seder hishtashalus. Did I get that right?
Right.
So in seder hishtashalus, everything is a ha'ara.
Right.
And I'm saying, what is it a ha'ara of? The original step of ha'ara is if something is a ha'ara of yesh ma'ayin.
That's correct.
And that yesh ma'ayin itself is a ha'ara of the original. The creation is a ha'ara of the creator.
No, it's the let's see how the Rebbe explains it. Yesh Ayin is actually, it's not a ha'ara. It's something which is created by the koyach of the creator, but creating a new entity by the koyach of the creator, not replicating the creator himself.
So this is like something intermediate between the mahus and ha'ara.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down, when we started these three, I wrote down that these are three levels of cause and effect. Is that right? That it seems like that may not capture what we... These are three...
Of revelation. Yesh Mi'ayin is a third category. And we're going to discuss it now after this parenthesis. V'agam she'benivroim gamkin. Even though that by nivroim also hari hanivro hu ha'ora bilvad me'hakoyach ha'eliki. The nivro is only a ha'ora, as we were discussing the whole time, that the whole creation of world is a ha'ora. As we says in Tanya, and as we have discussed along this whole discussion, that the whole creation of the world is ha'ara. And now we're saying that this is yesh mi'ayin. Yesh lema. So the explanation, however, is, okay, we're going into this, to what extent we will delve into it, we will see. The Ayin ze mehuz ha'ora mamush. That the creation, yesh mi'ayin, is not the ha'ora itself, mamush, kiyim ha'ora mi-ha-arah. But actually it's a lower level, it's a ha'ora from the ha'ora, when the clothes are hishtalshus. The way it is in hishtalshus itself. I'm going to try and present it first in our terminology, so we will have meaning in the words that we're reading. Clearly, there is a big difference between Hishtalshelus ha'ora me-ha-arah and yesh mi'ayin, and then there is the mahus limhus, the etzem, Etzem creation, from the Etzem itself. The most difficult of these three stages is to define the principle of Yesh mi-Ayin. Yesh mi-Ayin, why is it so difficult? Because it's Yesh mi-Ayin. The Yesh that's created does not reflect the Ayin. What is it? It's from Ayin. There is no source. There is nothing to trace the Yesh to. In the case of a son and a father, there is a source. It's a negation of the father. It's perhaps even a greater miracle than the Yesh mi-Ayin, but there is still a trace. It's a reflection of something. But in the case of Yesh mi-Ayin, there is no trace. This is why this is the most difficult Indian to actually focus in and to understand. Where does it come from? What is this Yesh mi-Ayin element? On the one hand, Yesh mi-Ayin is a ha'arah. Let us take the example that we discussed before. A car comes from the human spirit. Is there a trace in the human spirit for a car? Does it exist, so to speak, in the human spirit? Nothing. It's a cause that he's going to create something that will capture this spirit. But it's not there at all. Relative in comparison to that spirit is Yesh mi-Ayin. It represents, it is caused by it, but it doesn't have any of that spirit. The car does not in itself demand that you go around and travel the whole world. It's a yesh relative to the spirit from which it came, that it represents. Well, it's a complete inanimate object. A creation, a new creation from that enables that spirit to be enacted in a completely different environment, completely different level. In the Metzius of the world.
This is a mashal for Yesh mi-Ayin.
It's like a mashal for Yesh mi-Ayin.
Oh.
That Shaloi B'Yerech. There is no tracing.
Still, right. Still, it shows on a source, or you can see the cause of.
Oh, you can see the cause, but the cause and the effect are at a tremendous distance from each other. So it should be B'Yerech. And it is not replicating, it is enabling. The spirit enabling the car. The car is not replicating that spirit. The similar Indian is in the creation of the world. The world is, and it's does not represent the Lakus at all. What does it represent from the Creator? It represents the infinite capability of the Creator.
If the car is not replicating, hello?
Yes.
If the car is not replicating that spirit, how would you describe what the car is in relation to the spirit? In words other than it's a ha'ara.
It is actualizing that spirit and actualizing that spirit in a different arena, on a lower level.
And the spirit that it's actualizing here is not the entire human spirit, but some aspect of it, really.
Right, the ha-arah. It's actualizing the ha-arah of that spirit. This is why we say that the creation of the world is a ha-arah, even though it's yesh mi-ayin.
It's actualizing the ha'ara of the spirit, and the spirit is like the etzem.
The spirit is within the etzem, yeah. The spirit is like the ha'arah of the etzem. Who is here with me? Shemiyanis and Baruch. A little bit. A miracle. Marvelous.
What's the miracle?
That you guys are following through on these very subtle, extremely subtle, ideas.
I think I may have lost the last turn. Maybe I'm the only one. The spirit is the ha'ara of the etzem, or the spirit is within the etzem?
The spirit is the ha'arah of the etzem.
Okay. Like the presence of the host.
Like the presence of the host.
And then this spirit is the Ayin to the yesh.
Right.
And the yesh is whatever, the car.
Right.
So in other words, he's saying in the Nimshal, the infinity is only ha'arah from Beis.
Oh yeah. Infinite capability.
Infinite capability is nothing.
Right.
But none of this captures a mahus to a mahus.
Right. Mahus to mahus, this is a completely different, this is the third meaning. This is the etzem itself. Replicating itself. This is why Moshe created the human being, he gave him a neshama, and he gave the whole creation to the human being. You know it.
Just a quick question on this mahus to mahus. We're still saying that that's creation, or it's not creation.
No. This is not. This is called replication.
Replication. So, but we call the neshama a creation. Sometimes you refer to the neshama as a creation.
For lack of a better word.
So it's really a term of art when you apply it to the neshama.
Right.
Poetic license.
Huh? Yeah.
Poetic.
Alright, let's continue over here. Wow.
It's not really a creation. Why is it not really creation?
What, the neshama?
Yeah.
Because it is not shalom b'yedek, it's not yesh me'ayin. It is the very same reality, the very same truth.
We're just calling it a creation because it wasn't distinct.
Because it's distinct from the source.
Yeah.
Call it a creation, but it has a part of the creation. Chelik elokah. Not a creation. And yet, it is a creation. It is a separate entity.
There's like different levels of it. Like one part is chelik, one part is more creation.
No.
Oh.
The way the neshamis are, if we want to have some kind of a illustration of understanding how the neshamis are related to lakah, so it's chelik lakah. The emotion for that is like the sun shine going through multiple openings, shining through many cracks. Like they say, if the stars were representing the sunshine shining into the star, so each one is a shine of the sun, of the etzem behiri. But it is only a chelik of it. This is what the neshama is. The neshama represents mamish alakus. Huh? Chelik, a part. It's as real as alakus, and it is eternal, as we say. It is infinite and all those things. But it's a part of it. And okay, the end we'll leave for another time. Okay, that's what he says here in this. Okay, I'm up to 5 lines from the top on Nun Aleph. His pashtus ha'oyer mi-ha-shemesh. It is like the hispashtus, the spreading forth of the light from the shemesh. This is how the close ishtalsha, this is how the world in general is created. It is a light coming from the shemesh, but it is hispashtus of that light. It is not the very essence of the light. Alright, I think I'm going to skip from here to the end of the parentheses. The end parenthesis is 2 lines down, it begins with mikoyach yesod dafka. Alright, let's just go to the end of parentheses and just start. And what we are saying is that the neshamis are from the etzem oil, not from the ha-arah. The point is, his havos mi-ha-arah atzmi, that his havos, a creation that comes from an eir atzmi, from an essential, an oil. Ein ha-mi-ha-arah mahus acher mi-ha-mi-ha-arah. That which comes into being is not a different mahus and different presence than the mi-ha-arah, than that which creates it.
The father as a son.
This is like what we say in our motion of a person being in his home, or the host, a person being in his home. This is what's called Ayin Atz, because a home is something which is created, it comes into being because of the essential reality of the person. It is not to serve a person any kind of functional service, like protecting him from the cold or from the wind or from the snow. It is a necessity. It goes together with the human being. Now the Gemara says, we always call Odom Shein Le'Bais Einoi Odom. It is an atzmi in the human being that he has a home. If you provide him with all the services that a home gives, other without having a home, is something lacking. It's not the real thing. So this oil from the human being that engulfs the home, this is the oil atzmi itself. And the home represents the human being. Meaning to say, where is the person? Is the person outside of the home and creates a home, or the person is in the home in every corner of the home? The person himself is everywhere. This means this is that the oil atzmi itself is present everywhere.
This is the
Rabbi Paltiel?
This is just 1 second. This is the pshat. That the neshamis, we say, the neshamis are a chelik alakam imal. What does that mean, a chelik alakam imal? It represents alakam imal, but it doesn't get it's not a separate entity. It represents a chelik alakam imal wherever it is. And the alakai itself is present wherever the neshama is present.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Can I just get in here with a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Just this last sentence confused me a little. We're saying here in this sentence, his havos from Oyer Atzmi. And previously we were talking about etzem to etzem, mahus to mahus.
It's the same thing.
So why are we saying Oyer Atzmi? What's the emphasis of Oyer Atzmi instead of Atzmus? from Atzmus itself, there can't be a Hisavus?
Right.
I don't understand that, but I've just said it.
Like we say just now, the person is present in the entire home. This same human being is present in the entire home. Is he really present? Like we say, the whole home becomes twice the size, and he becomes twice the size. It's his essential presence that is everywhere.
So in other words, his physical presence is confusing in this case.
Right, in a sense.
So, Oyer, Atzmi, and Atzmus is essentially the same thing?
No, Oyer Atzmi is a reflection of an Atzmi. This is. Let's focus in for a moment since we got here. What is the meaning that a person must have a home? And he has to have a home because he's a human being, not because he has the functionality from it. What is the meaning of that?
That he's an Atzmi?
Huh?
What's the meaning that he has to have a home?
Yeah.
That he's an Atzmi, that he has...
So here is the elaboration to this. A home means a definitive place in the world. As we say many times, he owns a piece of the world. What's meant a home? Because a human being, his presence in the world is not accidental, is not by the way, it's a must be. By God's decree, he must be. By the decree of the creator of the world, the human being has to be. Otherwise, the creator himself is missing from the world. This is called an atzma in the world. But his presence in the world is an essential presence. It's an etzem. And the home is the oir from that etzem. In what way is he present in the world? He has a presence. This is called this oir etzem. Right.
And in the Nimshal?
And in the Nimshal, this is Neshamas. The Eibishter is present, like I said, the Eibishter is present in the world because Neshamas are present in the world.
The Neshamas are like the home for the Eibishter?
The Neshama is, yes. Dira b'tachtein.
Wow.
Can I just follow this? It's like you're saying what this. You're saying human being is something that must be by the Eibishter's decree. Now his body, his physical body, does not allow it to be expressed. It has to be that he has like intangible grasp of this world, that he is so real that he could spread at least in a part of this world without him physically being there. Is that true?
Well, it's true, but the physical body is what brings him into the world.
Right, right. But I mean, we insist that he should have.
But he is present his presence is broader than in the physical body.
And it has to be expressed. It has to be expressed in presence of the home or whatever the.
Well, the home. What is the home house in the physical body? Except that his physical body has an aura, has an etzem presence.
Right, right, right. So that's where it's captured. So that's where we see it. That he is a central presence. From the fact that he could dominate or he could own some other physical whatever the dimension.
His right to be
location.
in the world is an essential right. Doesn't have to capture it. He belongs there.
Right.
All right, this is way. Okay. All right, let's conclude this evening, and tomorrow we should go to the next thing.
We need somebody for the minute.
We need some more for the minute.
Good to not throw a Paltiel.